I really, really need to stop being so damn lazy. Take this, splice the two videos, put them in one, and upload it. That way, whenever I get interrupted, I don't have to start all over again. But I am lazy, so let's get on with it. Just on such a good streak too. Although I did kind of get sidetracked a lot, but let's get into it. All right. So you knew the title. Reading recommendations is back, but first, library haul. I should just name it library haul plus reading recommendations. Calling it reading recommendations plus more is stupid. I just feel weird calling it library haul too. It's like, who does that? No one. Hellsing Volume 2. I liked Hellsing Volume 1. I wasn't like totally blown away by it, but I liked it enough. Volumes 8 and 9 of Blue Exorcist. I had read this. I had the book upside down when I was checking to make sure I got the right volume. I was like, oh no, Volume 6. So I was rushing out of the library, and it's totally a mistake I would have made, even though I was making sure. It was one thing I wasn't rushing on, was making sure I got the right book. U-Bell Volume 1. There's a Volume 0 for whatever reason. I don't mind just call it Volume 1 because it just confuses everyone. I bet you any money there's at least one person that bought Volume 1 and just now realizes there's Volume 0. Not that they would really care. And U-Bell Black, whatever it's called, it's like a stupid title. They just do they don't do the Japanese to English translation. Which is that's one manga series I'm never gonna like be super like and never I'm gonna be like super into it, but One Punch Man I will be. It's One Punch Man Volumes 2 and 3. Slowly becoming my favorite manga. Of course, said the same for Blue Exorcist. I think Blue Exorcist and One Punch Man are my favorite so far, even though I've only read like a few mangas anyways. No, I said that was so weird. Deadpool Volume 9, the last volume of the first Deadpool series, because it's 65 to 69. And yes, they knew what they were doing with that, with ending on issue 69. Then they give you the first 6 issues of Agent X, which I haven't heard I haven't heard the best about, but time will tell. 3 X-Men books. X-Men, Extraordinary X-Men. None of them are adjective lists. They're all adjectives. Extraordinary X-Men by Jeff Lemire. They did not have Volume 2, and I'm not too discouraged about it. I'm not too angry about it, but I just want to see where the story went after issue 1. Might just reread issue 1. Just like a refresher. Although I can't say that. Although I don't think I really need to. X-Men, New X-Men Exposed. Last volume they had, and then the spin-off, New X-Men Hellions. Well, these are spoilers. You know how I felt with Volume 1, because I have Volume 2. Guardians, All New Guardians, Volume 2. Hellboy, The Wild Hunt, Volume 9. This was funny because they didn't have it. They didn't have it. It was really weird because I knew they did. They gave me the wrong book completely, and it wasn't one of those things where it was I put it in on the actual website itself, so I should have gotten it right away. But I got like a completely different book. Not even the wrong volume of Hellboy. It was like divorce, the divorce affair. Let's call it that. It's like one of those kinds of books. And I was like, what? We all had a laugh about it when it came in. It was just completely random. Queen and Country Volume 3. The Phantom Edition. So I think it's like 2 or 3 in 1, which is really nice. And for $19.99, that's kind of expensive for a smaller book like this. But again, spoilers. You know how I felt about that series. And these 3, these are interloans. So I'm just going in random order now because it's different order than I went before. But these 3 books, I almost didn't get. So the only one that came in was Deadpool for so far today, because it was Tuesday and Thursday when the books come in. And I was waiting, and I was like, no, that can't be. Deadpool wasn't the only one to come in today. And sure enough, I was somewhat right. I mean, after a while, because it took a while for them to all come in. It was weird. And when they all, and before that, I was like, oh man, they didn't all come in. Let's wait till Tuesday. I couldn't wait till Tuesday because I only had one day left for Extraordinary X-Men because that one was late.
And I was like, oh wait, another another extraordinary X-Men in my hands. Where I went to wait till not wait, but yeah, well, wait, yeah, I'd wait. But they came in, Quinn Credible, Quinn Credible Volume 2, Wonder Woman Volume 3, and Fantastic Four, Ultimate Fantastic Four Volume 2. I think these ones, because the first volume of Ultimate Fantastic Four, for whatever reason, did not have the issues this one does. I didn't tell you when the issue started and the other issue ended. And this last stack, All-Star Batman and Robin. Wait, no, sorry, just All-Star Batman. Not that All-Star Batman and Robin. The good one. The one written by Scott Snyder. The Rebirth one. Also one no one talks about. It's kind of funny. Teen Titans to think about. Teen Titans New 52 Volume 1 and Volume 2. I remember not minding. And I didn't like it. I just didn't mind the first volume. And reread it and see if it's any better. And the book that got better, my 50th reread of it, and that is Sandman Volume 8 and Volume 9. I like that these are like one's bigger, like one's almost double the size, same price. It's always the indie publishers, although Vertigo technically isn't a indie publisher. But now let's get on to the reading recommendations. Oh crap! Okay, undo. Thank God I got this. Of course, I just completely gotta shake it to undo it. So yeah, I had this. All right, no, there was more than that. Good. But because I didn't just splice the two videos together, I have to do this all over again. So I got rid of them because it was taking a long time to find it. Okay, got it all. Okay, first up, Blue Exorcist. Turns out I was right. I was right with my hypothesis that I left off on Volume 6. But Volume 7, it was still a little confusing because I hadn't read it in so long, so I'd forgotten a lot of stuff that happened in it. But knowing how am I going back to Volume 1? But for the most part, I was pretty well caught up. Like I knew what was going on. And then Quinn Credible, Volume 1, very surprised with. Few things that I'm sure certain YouTubers would completely tear apart, and for good reason. But it's one of those things that doesn't really bother me as much. It doesn't affect the story. It's just kind of like the characters themselves. But it didn't affect the story. It didn't make the story any worse. It was just kind of one of those things that was like, oh, one of these things, all right. But for the most part, it was good. The origin story for Quinn Credible is very similar to that of Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel. You can tell it's where where Rodney Barnes got his inspiration from. It's almost a carbon copy. Like, I think technically Marvel could sue them somehow, but not totally sue them, but like, one of those things. Like, kind of get like a little bit of money out of it. I don't know, but it's one of those things that was very, very similar to Kamala Khan's origin story, to the point where it was almost plagiarism. But that I don't really mind that as much, but it wasn't a total ripoff. It was just very, very similar, and you knew that's where it got its inspiration from. 47 Ronin reminded me of those books that they would give you the graphic novel version of it to read instead of the actual book, so the kids didn't die of boredom. That's exactly what it reminded me of. Not bad, because I'd rather read the graphic novel version of the book for school, like one of those older books, classic books, like the To Kill a Mockingbird. I kind of wish I had bought the graphic novel version of it first, or just got the library. But again, just one of those books I'm never gonna read again. Like the many, many school books I've had to read. I did like, but not gonna read them again. Queen and Country Definitive Edition Volume 2 was a lot better than Volume 1, which goes to which is saying a lot because I really enjoyed Volume 1. But everything I didn't like about Volume 1, for the most part, wasn't in Volume 2. It's still a lot of talking about like the minders and this all bunch of CIA lingo that was kind of annoying to have to keep reading that because it made the book book's pacing it really hurt the book's pacing. And Sandman Volume 7 you already know how I feel about that, but I was getting. Neil Gaiman is never going to be that writer that I really enjoy. He's always going to be that writer that I'm always like, yep, this is a Neil Gaiman book. I can definitely say that about that, but not much else. He's never going to be my favorite writer. I'm never going to do like a deep dive into his career. I'm never going to follow him on Amazon or Facebook or Twitter or anywhere. I'm never going to like be the first person to buy his next book. I'm never gonna go to a book signing. Never anything like that. But I will read his books and enjoy them enough to where I can understand why people like them, but not as much as other people do. Which is saying a lot because he seems to be like resonating with a lot of my favorite writers too. Like a lot of my favorite writers would not be where they are today without Neil Gaiman. I'm talking comic writers, obviously. This is Volume 6, Fables and Reflections. I dropped that book for 50 years and then picked up Volume 7 not too long ago, probably like actually was kind of a long time ago, like about a year ago. Then dropped it again for about a year and then picked it up and it looked a lot better. I don't know what it is. I knew what it was for Fables and Reflections. I think for this series, I like when it's actually continuing the story that they left off on the previous volume. And Fables and Reflections was a complete dip. It was like, oh, here's a flashback. It's like, I don't want that. It's kind of like with that Wicked and Divine. That last volume was all their like little tie-ins. Or no, it was the second to last volume. It was all little tie-ins. It was like one shot. It was telling you what happened in the previous years. And I don't remember liking that volume a whole lot. It was still good, but yeah, a lot better than Fables and Reflections. Green Lantern, Silver Age. Well, it was a lot better than the other Silver Age DC book. It was still a Silver Age book. You know, still ridiculous, but not just boring ridiculous. You know, it wasn't like a Golden Age book where it was like that Green Arrow. Whoops. And I didn't do that one yet. I'll talk about that one soon. There's a lot of books I talked about. But Green Lantern Silver Age was just boring at worst and good and pretty good at the most. Again, those first 3 issues I really liked, and then after that, even though it was the same writer, it was just kind of different. I think it was just too much of one thing, I guess. If I'd been 3 issues, I probably would have gotten the next volume and dropped it after that volume. Maybe not even then. It was only 6 issues, though. I don't know. I think with Silver Age, every issue feels like 2 issues, which is definitely something can be said. Spread Volume 1 is the Justin Jordan book, and the other one I read by him was Reaver. And this one was so much better than that, to the point where I'm probably going to get that series soon. The entire 5-volume series. And it's only 5 volumes, which is nice. But it's just expensive for... I mean, the first volume was, even though it's the Image, it's $14.99. And that's what I mean by expensive. But and they're all list price on Amazon. None of them are like $12.99 or $11.99. So it's gonna be $75 to buy all 5 of them. And it's a lot of money for me to spend with my budget, at least. But it'll be worth it because it's such a damn good series. It was what I wanted out of a book like that, and more. And it reinvigorated my decision to get that Luther Strode book. That was a good decision to make. I don't know how you say that. Deadpool Volume 8 continues the legacy of every volume being better than the last. Although, it's tough to say, because I think Jimmy Palmiotti and Frank Thierry are the best writers of Deadpool I've read so far. Next to Jerry Duke. I more mean way back in the day, like the classic series. The classic years. Because Frank Thierry's run was just so damn good. It was modern. If I had read a random issue of it and you hadn't told me when it came out, I wouldn't have told you. Some, because they'll make a reference to an older movie, or they'll just like, when they won't like swear, the Deadpool won't swear as much. But other than that, like, I couldn't tell you. It felt like a modern Deadpool book that we get. Of course, at this time, it's like 2001, 2002, so it makes sense. And it's the era of comics I really, 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 really enjoy. Was the early 2000s. Because they got out of that 90s funk. So I guess it makes sense, but still. Because it was still kind of comics code, too. Like, it kind of... They would love to swear a little bit more, but not like to the extent they are now. And they're kind of antsy about it. They didn't want to go full throttle, even though at the time they were having the Max Marvel, which is R-rated Marvel. So I don't know why PG-13 wouldn't have worked. Batwoman, it's co-written by James Tynion, and they have a rebirth special along with the 6 issues. And the rebirth special was really damn good, and I do not know what happened after that, because after that it was less so. It wasn't terrible, and I would get the next volume if they had it at the library, but I'm not too dismayed that I can't finish that series, even though it's just 2 more volumes for 3, total of 3. But it's one of those series I'm not going to buy myself. Not even maybe if it's on sale, maybe, but no. If it's on sale at Newbury, maybe, but like a digital sale on Marvel on Comixology, most likely there's other books there too. So why would I get that instead of something else? Fantastic Four, yeah, Batwoman was just, and it wasn't terrible. It was just, and that rebirth special was really damn good. I'd almost say get it for that alone. Maybe I'm alone on that, and then everyone likes the next few issues. Ultimate Fantastic Four Volume 1, a lot better than I remember being. I mean, I always kind of enjoyed Ultimate Fantastic Four, but it was the later volumes I liked, except for Mike Carey's. I stopped at Mike Carey's run, and that's why I'm rereading it now, giving it a second chance, and I want to start from the beginning. And I'm glad I did, because it was a lot more enjoyable than I remember it being. Not as slow. It was. I don't know why I said that it was slow. It's very fast paced. I think it was just those. I think it's when my first read through, I remembered the long points of dialogue more than anything. Like the long. Anyway, drone on and on, but that wasn't like as prevalent here this time. I don't know why I said that last time. I think it did at least. New X-Men Volume 2. A lot better than Volume 1. A lot better than Volume 1. Volume 1 was just so damn slow. The characters weren't defined at all. I couldn't tell them apart. And now I can, for the most part. There's a lot of characters here, and some of them are like kind of just... If you took them out of the story, I wouldn't like be able to tell that much, unless they said something. Like there was a two-parter that took place in the future, and one of the characters dies. And I was like, who's that again? And the girlfriend was like, oh no. I was like, oh, sorry, it was him, I think. And even then I wasn't 100% sure. But other than that, it was really damn enjoyable and a really damn good read. Like, I do recommend it. I went a follow-up to Grant Morrison's New X-Men, which I'm reading it not having read. I've only read 1 volume of Grant Morrison's New X-Men, so I'm not too lost. And it's also one of those things that you didn't have to read it. It's kind of more of a reboot from what I've heard. One of the 2 people that know it exist. And one of them was me. 30 Days of Night. It was alright. I wanted a vampire story. I got vampires. I got in Philadelphia and Baltimore. Both those were vampire books. And I was in the mood for vampires. I guess, I hadn't read those yet. And if you want to know why I take so long to read the trades that I buy, realize that I read 20 trades of different lengths in 2 weeks. 20. And yeah, it took me a long... It wasn't like I read... It took me a lot longer than it usually does. If I made that 30, it would be a lot longer, but... And a lot of it was me just like reading. One day I just like didn't play Xbox at all, because I kept reading. But, still. It just goes to show. But yeah, 30 Days of Night, I got what I wanted, but not much else. It was just pretty lackluster. Wonder Woman Volume 2, so damn good. I love this series. This Brian Azzarello, there's an omnibus out there, buy it. Done. I've read it before. It is a reread. I like it just as much, if not more than before. Guardians of the Galaxy, all new Guardians of the Galaxy. Had it not have been 3 volumes in the series, I would have dropped it at this volume. And also, I want to get all the Guardians series that lead up to Johnny Cates. I do need to go back and reread Dan Abnett's run. But yeah, this one was just so mediocre, and everything is so different. I know they call it all new, all different. I know it's that kind of era of Marvel. Although, was it? It wasn't 2014. It was 2017. But it was the all new Guardians of the Galaxy. It was just so damn. No, it's that Brian Michael Bendis would have been in between that. That wasn't. That was still the same Brian Michael Bendis series. I still recognize the characters. Just here, it was like, you're trying to be like the movies. I mean, yeah, you make a reference to songs, but really, like, I couldn't tell. Brian Michael Bendis followed the movies, and he started his run before the movie came out. By the time this come out, the Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 had already come out or was coming out. But yeah, it was just so weird. It was just not good. And it wasn't terrible. It was boring, honestly. At times I was bored. I was like, this is Jerry Dugan. He wrote Deadpool. But Deadpool he was paired up with Brian Posehn. And I'm beginning to wonder if Brian Posehn is the potion to making a good Jerry Duggan book. Because he gives him pointers. Batman Dracula, Red Rain, was good. I liked it. I liked Doug Moench's writing. It's just because it was 90 plus pages, and it was an original graphic novel, I felt the length. Completely felt the length. And I'm glad I read it when I had enough time in my hands. Because if it had been the last book I read, I probably would have fallen asleep. Because it wasn't boring. It's a lot. It took me like 2 hours to read. And I thought it would only take 1 hour. Actually, it was 2.5 hours, I think. So, yeah. Well, it was only an hour and a half. I don't know. It took me a lot longer to read it. That's my point. And if I thought it was only an hour, I only gave myself an hour before I was going to go to bed, I would have fallen asleep. I'm not saying it was boring. I'm just saying, when I would have chosen to read it. Iron Man, Doom Quest, pretty damn good. If you can find it at a good price, sometimes you can find them at a good price, like at a bargain bin, like a used comic book store, because they don't really... Amazon is the only spot that has them at an overly outrageous price. Like, all my Marvel Select books that I have, the black ones, here, I'll show it there. Yeah, thank you for falling over, books. Alright, we'll go to the stupid book, because you guys really care about this. I know. You guys are on your edge of your seats. That's what I mean. These kinds of books. I got all these for $5 sometimes. Some of them a little more. I'm just, like, when I get like this, it's just, like, it's so annoying. Like, I don't know why it's be so specific. I wish if I had editing software, I could have it on like this. But I don't, because I'm so lazy. I'm lazy. No two-way street about that. Yeah, let's keep going. Dick Grayson by Tim Seeley and Tom King. Tim Seeley, I will never read any of his books. I just do not like his writing. It is terrible writing. It's boring. It's exposition heavy. It's not interesting. His characters have no depth. The only one I liked it by him was Bloodshot, and I think it was because it was more fast paced. There's more action than story. And then Tom King was actually good. There was one written by Tom King by him. So it was just Tom King himself. It was he did the story, and then Tim Seeley helped him. You could tell it was more Tom King because he was like credited first, and that was a lot better. In the Tim Seeley run, the Tim Seeley issues. I'm not super. I don't hate Tom King as much as a lot of other people do. I hate that man himself. He's a terrible person himself. I don't know why Comic Pop keeps sucking his dick and putting him on the show. But they do. And to be fair, he has quote unquote apologized for what he did, but I think he made a mistake afterwards, and people saw right through him, except for Comic Pop, of course. Which, pick your poison, I guess, or however you say that. Justice League, the Silver Age, the worst book I've read this go around for reading recommendations. It was so. I don't like Silver Age. I like Golden Age, but I don't like Silver Age. Apparently, I don't know. It's what was his name? It was, I forget. It was him. Whoever wrote Justice League, Silver Age. It's his writing that I didn't like. I liked John Broome. He wrote Silver Age Green Lantern. I like that a lot better. Green Arrow. I like the Golden Age one. So really good. And I liked everything else. There wasn't any Green Arrow books I didn't like in that series. And what was nice is that they gave you it was like a little taste of their run. So I'm going to Chuck Dixon run, especially Chuck Dixon's run. Yes, right away. Once that omnibus gets solicited, I'm gonna pre-order it. I'll have to wait till my birthday or my Christmas or whenever, because they're expensive. Can't buy them myself. And then Multiversity was good, but I'm gonna have a take a break from Grant Morrison. I know I'm so stuttery. All right, that's it.